What did we know? When did we know it?
That's what some congressmen are asking now, and asking quite loudly.
Did we know the year before 9/11 that one of the hijackers was a terrorist threat?
Army Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer has gone public with his charge that Able Danger, a military intelligence project he worked with in 2000, identified Mohammed Atta, even pulled up his picture along with 3 other 9/11 hijackers as possible al-Qaeda members.
We found the identities of 4 of the 9/11 hijackers prior to 9/11.
But he says beginning in September 2000, 3 meetings he set up with the FBI were each canceled by military lawyers. Schaefer also says he remembers telling then 9/11 Commission staff at a meeting in Afghanistan about Atta and what the intelligence unit found back in 2000. And he was surprised that it did not show up in the Commission's report.
I'm told confidently by the person who did move the material over that the 9/11 Commission received 2 briefcase-size containers of documents. I can tell you for a fact that would not be 1/20th of the information that Able Danger consisted of during the time we spent.
The government and security services did have surveillance on the London bombers, but didn't act. That's something that really grates with you for obvious reasons.
We were told at the time by the government that the 4 bombers were clean skins. They were completely unknown to the intelligence services, that the attack had come out of the blue and therefore there was no way to stop it. But the evidence in this trial, that's been presented in this trial, proves that to be completely untrue.
This newly released photograph shows the leader of the 7th of July attacks under surveillance as far back as January 2001. West Yorkshire police were monitoring suspected extremists. 3 years later, he was under surveillance again. The surveillance included video recordings of the men in East London.
And when it comes to the 2 men who would go on to cause carnage on the London transport system, the BBC's Panorama programme has said that their local police force in West Yorkshire were never asked by MI5 to follow them up. Labour MP Paul Murphy, who headed the parliamentary inquiry into the attacks, says the police were alerted.
The committee was told during the course of its investigation into the July the 7th bombings, we were told by the Director General of MI5 that in fact they were told about Siddiqui Khan and Tanweer.
One threat assessment is well known to have reached President Bush directly. It was known as the Presidential Daily Briefing, or PDB, of August 6th.
I'd like to ask you about the August 6th PDB.
Sure.
Dr. Rice, would you please rise and raise your right hand? You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
In April 2004, public pressure finally forced the White House to allow Dr. Rice to testify before the 9/11 Commission to answer questions about the PDB and the nature of warnings given the administration.
The threat reporting that we received in the spring and summer of 2001 was not specific as to time, nor place, nor manner of attack.
March. Italian intelligence gave information to the U.S. based on their wiretap of an al-Qaeda cell in Milan. The LA Times and the Washington Post said the wiretaps warned of brothers going to the United States and a massive strike involving aircraft. August. According to Moroccan and French newspapers, an intelligence agent reported that bin Laden's men were preparing large-scale operations in New York in the summer or fall of 2001. The agent was then called to the U.S. to report this information directly. August. Britain warned 3 times of an al-Qaeda attack in the U.S., the final warning specifying multiple airplane hijackings. According to Britain's Sunday Herald, the warning was passed on to President Bush a short time later.
What the August 6th PDB said, and perhaps I should read it to you.
We would be happy to have it declassified in full.
When she was testifying, one Ben Venice was really trying to get into the nitty-gritty.
Did you tell the President at any time prior to August 6th of the existence of al-Qaeda cells in the United States?
First, let me just make certain.
If you could just answer that question,
first,
because I only have a very limited...
I understand, Commissioner, but it's
Did you tell the
important that
President?
I also address...
It wasn't like a trial. You couldn't grill these people till you got the answer.
I really don't remember, Commissioner, whether I discussed this with the President.
Just let me move on, if I may.
There were no specifics.
What about August 6th? What did August 6th memo say? And then she would start going off.
It was historical information based on old reporting. There was no new threat information, and it did not, in fact, warn of any coming attacks inside the United States.
And what was the title of the memo?
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States. Now, the PDB...
2 weeks later, the White House finally declassified the PDB.
There's lots of examples where it's a domestic threat. Bin Laden told followers he wanted to retaliate in Washington. You know, Bin Laden was planning to exploit the operatives' access to the U.S. to mount a terrorist strike. Abu Zubaydah was planning his own U.S. attack. Less FBI information since that time indicates patterns of suspicious activity in this country consistent with preparations for hijackings or other types of attacks, including recent surveillance of federal buildings in New York. That's present tense and domestic.
Ari Fleischer came out right after September 11th and said there were no warnings. I watched him tell me there were no warnings, okay? I want to know why nobody has gone back and said, what did he mean?
The King of Saudi Arabia has arrived in Britain today amid a row with the government. Ahead of the first Saudi state visit here in 20 years, King Abdullah claimed his country had intelligence which could have averted the July the 7th terror attacks in 2005. The 81-year-old king said no action was taken on information sent to Britain before the bombings which killed 56 people.
This is the kind of terrorist attack the government repeatedly says is going to happen.
Tonight's exercise was plausible, but it was, of course, fictional. We have, of course, been warned.